99, 98% of the time, I don't date black men, and I'm happier because of that. Kiss me, Dr. Lori, your Paris dating coach. I help high-achieving black women date in Paris for adventure, fun, and love if they choose. Controversial Shannon. His post came up to my feed about how black men are complaining that black women are dating, that a black woman said she doesn't date black men. And of course, we needed a black man to chastise black men, because when we do it, we're bees. And basically he said that black men choose to date 30-40% outside of our and they constantly complain about black women. They're very negative, not negative to the point of vitriolic against them. Most black women have had, I won't say most, but a lot of black women have had some really negative, not only negative, but damaging relationships with black men, to the point that it's caused trauma. Yeah, I said trauma. So why would we want to continue to date you, black men, when we've had significant trauma? A few weeks ago, I met a man from Benin. We went on a date, and basically he wanted to come back to my place, and he wanted me to give him a blowjob. So after that, I deleted all of the black men on the dating app. However, I am talking to one. I mentioned him as Chaka Zulu right now. His family is from Cape Verdean and I think the Gambia. He seems to genuinely be interested in me, but we'll see. But I mentioned the men I was dating. That is the only black man in the queue. My dog is barking at me because I'm not paying attention to him, kind of like how men do. So I'm just going to say, we have to go where we're celebrated. We have to date men that celebrate us. And that's why I date outside of my race in Paris. Follow me if you'd like more dating tips and information.
Alright, this content creator's public profile that you can find on Google, alright, it identifies her as a member of the medical profession. I'm not surprised and shit. A lot of women, melanated women, go into this profession to make money, nothing else, not do any empathy or care for the human condition, okay, medically speaking. Okay, a lot of them do that, right? They don't give a shit. You know, it's to fund their boss girl lifestyle and shit, no fucks given and shit. And I can say this because my own mother was a nurse for over 40 years, and many times in my youth, I used to hear her talking about things that she saw in the hospital, cases that she saw, the suffering that people went through, you know, how it affected her. I remember she worked in a old folks home to supplement her income and shit. And she stopped doing it because she couldn't take the conditions and whatnot. It was wearing on her mental. Alright? She was a professional. And she studied hard for her degrees and everything. And it actually meant something. Right? You contrast that with today and shit. And bad reputation, a lot of, sisters having a medical profession and shit. And want to be boss babes. Alright? And they didn't have any sense of agency and shit, so everything is built off that tree and shit. But they never really cared about the people that they helped every day and shit. And I realized how much wear and tear psychologically that could, how much wear and tear psychologically that could do to an average person and shit. Okay, at certain points you get numb to it and develop a clinical personality. But if you start out that way and shit, I'm looking at you as some kind of fucking sociopath and shit. Okay, A lot of these women, they work hard and they play even harder and shit. Okay, I say it many times that my own mother was with a quote unquote passport woman. Okay, can't call her a girl. She is never a girl in her whole fucking life since she was 5, and survived being caught up in the funnel of the F5 tornado. That's true, no cap. So that being said, getting back to Dr. Lori here. Okay, it's her public profile states and shit. She's going out of her way to make some rage bait and shit. Now she looks like she's in her 70s or 80s and shit. She's the same age as my mother would be if she was still here today. God rest her soul. Right? She's probably around that age. She's in the age group of my mom. And you see her sitting up here talking about it. 99% of the time she wouldn't date black men and shit. I'm like, okay, we heard this so many fucking times and shit. She says when she's in France and whatever, like that's supposed to be a flex. She says that when she's overseas, she doesn't date black men and shit, and she definitely ain't dating no black men in the states here and shit. Because I find her gross and disgusting. Okay, and I'm 56. I find her gross and disgusting. She makes my flesh crawl. Okay, now listen to the story that she said about meeting a guy that was not a foundational black American overseas who wanted her to, quote unquote, this her words not mine, give him a blowjob and shit. Okay, and I don't believe that shit. Okay, I believe there are boorish, Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal guys out there that would do shit like that, but not to her. Okay, unless they are a sick ass freak. Okay, a sick ass freak. Right? They deserve their ass whooped to say that to an elderly woman and shit. It disgusts me, man. I'm an open-minded motherfucking person. I believe in live and let live and shit, and it's a certain sort of an age gap and shit. I don't know. Okay, I don't know, but I think it's all cap. It's all bullshit, and it's rage bait and shit. And I'm sorry to say, there are no more fucking matriarchs in this goddamn community. Even if that shit was true and shit, in the old days, no woman would really say that shit. Except to each other behind closed doors. They would have these conversations. But, everybody bears their, what passes as a soul on social media and shit. She's sitting up here talking about 99% of the time she doesn't date black men. Why do we care? Okay? You're an old ass lady. Okay? You're built like Barack Obama. Okay? Alright? You're built like Barack Obama with some tether balls hanging from your chest loosely. Alright? It's gross. She has pictures of herself doing fits and, in the gym trying to lift weights and shit. And she's an 80-year-old woman and shit. She can't enjoy her silver years or whatever the fuck they call it and shit. I intend to enjoy mine and shit without the presence of one of these. Okay? Kings, you do not have to settle for this bullshit. You don't have to listen to this bullshit, but under no circumstances should you ignore it if it gets extremely out of pocket and egregious and whatnot. You need to address that and just tell her to her face, hey, I find you gross, nasty, and disgusting. Okay? Based on your appearance, but more so what you're saying in the story you told. And in the manner that you told it like a sailor and shit. I was in the military and I know men that have more grace than her who were in combat and shit. And damn near lost their lives and shit. They don't talk like this woman. Okay, I know sailors that don't even talk like what she said and shit. She's a medical professional and shit. She's talking about some guy siding up to her and hanging out, and then finally tell her that he wanted a blowjob and shit. The guy's a weird freak. I've seen my share of weirdos. Trust me, I know weirdos. I know freaks. I know sickos. I definitely know narcissists and sociopaths, and unfortunately, I'm well versed in an over-the-top, specialized expert on misandry. Right? Right? She strikes me as someone that's very lonely. Right? Very lonely and entitled. Okay, she thinks because of her education and her pedigree and shit, she deserves somebody and shit. But like an old ass man that's her age and everything, she wouldn't want him. She want a young guy, and younger than me, and I'm 56 and shit. She wants somebody probably in it between I'll be, let's be conservative. She'll want somebody in their mid-20s to, late 30s. All right, and they don't want her. Not nothing that looks like her and shit. And I'm scared, I would be scared to tell her this because she looks like the kind of woman that would go out and approximate some kind of plastic surgery and shit. Probably get a BBL or shit at 80, you know, maybe get her tits fixed. They're fucked up. She's fucked up. She's, she's fucked up. She looks like a skeleton, man. Okay? She's built like a Barack Obama. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this motherfucker. Okay? She's supposed to be an elder stateswoman, somebody that even I would give grace to and shit, despite how I feel about a lot of our women and shit, okay? But I would never do this with her. I find her creepy and disgusting. And I'm sorry to tell you, at age 56 and shit, I can tell you in my youth and shit, I ran across many disgusting women like this. In my early 20s to mid 30s, I ran into double that amount and shit. I got so many horror stories about old black women, old professional black women, pedigree black women doing out of pocket shit that made me wish they were fucking men so that I could put two to their chin. Okay, and I mean from all walks of life and shit. I even had two women, supposedly highly religious women from the Pentagon, finagle me into showing them around Los Angeles and shit. While I was on my motherfucking vacation, and it became a horror show. All right, this woman's calling me after 11 o'clock at night and all this kind of shit. I didn't pick up. I picked up one or two times. And then Sarah, she said some shit, like some slick shit, like we was dating or something. I had to tell her what's what and shit. All right? And they work for the government. They had security clearances and shit. All right? And, I was being a nice guy because I was raised in a matriarchal gulag and shit, okay? And I was a white knight and shit. And not trying to be. It was just, it's who I am. It's a part of my DNA. Why you think I'm so fucking angry right now? Right? I remember showing these women to the room, and one of them said, "Oh, sometimes you have to slake your lust." And I told her, "Hey, good luck with that shit. There's a bar downstairs in the lobby." And then I made good my escape, went home. And by the time I had walked home, one of the two bitches had called me already. Right? So yeah, I know about creepy old women and shit. And yeah, she is a fucking predator and shit. If they call me and my age, with a passport, going with no seasonal vacation and shit, and having a bit of fun, predator and shit. This is a predator, man. Okay, this is a gross, nasty, disgusting predator that makes me at age 56, makes my flesh crawl. Like, I feel horrified. If I was in a room and she came in the door and my back was to the wall and she closed the door behind herself, it would be a fight or flight for me. I would be like, look, I don't want to break your hip or nothing, but I'm getting out of this room without you touching me or nothing. And we ain't talking about shit, and I ain't listening to this shit. These women be doing some crazy shit. One time I went to a funeral in my hometown. I ain't gonna put nobody on blast, but like an older woman, old enough to be my grand aunt, was getting up to come at me, man. And other women like had to stand in her path to stop her from doing that. It's like, oh, stop that. They tried to act like they were playing the shit. She was not fucking playing. Okay? She was not fucking playing the shit. And I felt bad because I had a lot of respect for that woman. Okay? I had a lot of respect. It was weird. Okay? It was weird. I'd say a lot of weird shit. A lot of these women, they have unresolved issues and shit, and they carry this for their whole life. They say they're the most intelligent, but they don't have any emotional intelligence or the wherewithal or the agency to go seek help from accredited therapists and shit. And I find myself saying that more and more each commentary that I do about shit like this, okay? Alright? If I seen this woman near my son and shit, I'm gonna put two on her chin, man. I'm gonna step into her like hard as fuck, like she a Negro. I'm gonna treat her like she's an enemy gang member and shit. If I seen her anywhere near my son, my youngest son, okay? I can't say nothing about my firstborn survivor and shit. I really can't talk about that guy. Okay, that man. That male. Sorry. Alright, this woman, hell no. Ain't no fucking way. And I think she lying and shit. I don't think nobody fucking with her unless she come up off her back. She have to have a suitcase. She has to have another person carry the suitcase because she old as fuck. And open that shit up in front of me like that old movie Last Dragon. I'm sure enough. And they want me to do something and shit. And they had the henchman open the suitcase with all the money in it. That's how she talked to somebody. Okay? She can't get on Tinder. Okay? She can't get on any of these social apps. She can't even get on Grindr and trick a gay dude to come over there and knock her off and shit, okay? Anybody that's messing with her is scum of the earth. And she knows that, and she mad. So she decided to get on TikTok and a couple other platforms that make these silly ass videos talking about how she's a dating coach and shit. Would you listen to somebody like her? You know, the first thing I think to say if I was a female, oh, show me a picture of you when you was 20. And I look at that shit and see a non-select person by my own standards, I'm out. She ain't getting shit. She shouldn't be. She should be at the old folks' home, knitting a motherfucking sweater, playing bingo, or doing the hokey pokey with the other motherfuckers in the rec room and shit. Okay, and I know that's out of pocket, but I think what she said is out of pocket. Okay, we get this shit from women all the time. This bullshit all the time, and them shitting on us every day and whatnot. Now I gotta hear from some old broad that's almost a mummy. She's literally the universal movie monster. Like the mummy, not that Brandon Fraser one. I'm talking the motherfucker with the bandages all over. And I think if she had those on, she would look better. Okay? You know, I would tell the bitch, you know, since you want to trip and shit, you know, you want to be out of pocket, I'll tell you out of pocket. I'll be your dating coach and shit. And this is what we'll do and shit. This is what we'll do. I'm going to get online, right? I'm going to get you cleaned up and everything. But I'm going to get online and shit. I'm going to order. They got these things in China for people in the LGBTQ plus community. You know, trans people, or I don't know what they call that shit if it's not trans. But they have full body suits, like that look like real skin and everything, with breasts and everything in it that these dudes wear when they go to a club and they be tricking dudes and they end up getting their ass shot off. I'm gonna get one of these for you. You know, order one up that kind of looks like your face and shit. You know, they got ones that's a torso, but I would give for you the whole body thing and shit. And I would get that, order that for you, and we'll help you put it on and shit. You know, I'll have some women help you. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not disgusting. I was raised by good people and shit. They give a fuck. But life's experience has turned me into the geek underground and shit. Right? And we get one of these things, and we'll put it on and shit, and cover it up real good. And then we'll take you somewhere and shit. To where struggle dudes are, homosexuals, and you can finally get what you're looking for, shit. And we give you a nice satchel bag, a cheap bag from Target or Walmart and shit, and we'll put a shitload of KY jelly and baby oil in that bitch. So, you know, God won't know no difference. Okay? Won't know no difference. You can't obviously have no kids or nothing, but you gotta play safe. Alright? That's the only way your ass getting laid, because you look like a monster. You look like a motherfucker. You know, I seen it like old movie and shit, like the Jason Argonaut, the motherfucking skeletons coming out, shit. You know? And I'm saying I'm very upset with this black woman, this professional, okay, this pedigreed woman, this medical professional and shit. But they're online, they're looking for clout shit, okay? Right? She's a doctor. Okay? What more do you need to say and shit about conditioning these women and the social engineering that has destroyed our supposed ethnic community kings?
The Black Patriarchy. A non-existent group of fictional black male power brokers not discredited, erroneously jailed or outright killed by the minority majority who look the other way as they work tirelessly to shame, oppress, and outright take out the altruistic black female populace of the honorable democratic United States of America. 3K's inset bitches. These evil wealthy members of the black patriarchy are the sole reason for all the ills of the black community, walking, talking, holding down jobs, and doing everything up to and including giving their very lives in service to their baby mamas and baby's motherfucking kids. Their motto that strikes fear into the hearts of black women everywhere: bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.